Number stuff, and by the way, I know I just said we're going to talk about much more topics, and you're like, oh, here we go with the Drake stuff. But it is a big topic, right? Let me see. Billboard did put up an article. And their article yesterday, where is it at? Oh my God, they write so much fucking articles. Drake, Party Next Door, Billboard. I'll just look it up on. Yeah. Here we go. So they did debut number one. I think now I could give a better breakdown of what I thought the album was. I'll pull this up where we could kind of go through it. We're not going song by song, but I did want to give you an overall view of how I view the entire album now. Look at this. Let me see. Give me a second. And also, I got to get back in the habit of reading chat or reading it a little bit more. All right. So, where are we at with it? For whatever reason, the album is easier to find if you just search Party Next Door. Like, you search Drake, all type of shit comes up. All right. So we'll get into some suppression stuff and all that type of stuff, but essentially, this is the album. Now, I'm a straight shooter. I'm gonna give it to you raw. Pause. This is a reality about this album. I'm a numbers guy. Again, unlike any of these motherfuckers that's really even speaking, whether in hip hop media or otherwise. My nigga, I think I'm the only one with a math degree. I study numbers for a living. I've always had. When rappers drop albums, despite thinking about the quality, I always go check the numbers as well, right? I do know how important it is to kind of evaluate the Spotify numbers, YouTube numbers, and even some other numbers that, isn't that visible to the majority of the public. When I looked at the numbers, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Drake actually did pretty well, given what I was expecting. Let's keep in mind, I expected him to do 175. He did 247 or 246. 175, I expected. 246, that's what he got. I'm going to be honest with you. I never said it then. I can say it now, and I'm just going to be honest. After the first 3 days, I was a little bit worried because I started seeing the numbers seemingly stagnate a bit and slow down, which, by the way, here's the thing. It's very normal for an R&B album. If we go back to the historically, all of what's considered R&B, this is probably the highest selling, if we're going to call it R&B, right? Now, some might say, nigga, it's Drake. Everything he puts out is a pop album. To each his own. But if this is considered an R&B album, I don't even think Chris Brown is touching 100K these days. And Chris Brown drops bloated albums more than 21 tracks, right? We've seen Chris Brown drop a 35-track album, okay? So I seen a lot of people talk about how long the album was. Whatever. Do I think Drake probably dropped this many tracks to probably influence the streaming? I kind of think so. I think this could have been gutted a little bit more if you ask me. Like, just going over the whole thing. CN Tower, cool. Mothball is cool. Something About You. This is fire. This one right here, this shit's been going up. Crying to Chanel's fire. Spider-Man, Superman is cool. Deeper, complete fire. Party, shout out to you. Small Town Fame, all right. Pimmy's Dilemma. Pimmy went crazy on that. Brian Steele is dope. Give Me a Hug. That's the hit. Raining in Houston. Actually, one of my favorite songs. Probably my second favorite song on here, right? Lasers, I could have done without it. Meet Your Padre, like for me, that was a clear Drake trying to appeal to a different demographic. Not whack, but not the joint that I'm going to play like, oh, let's play Meet Your Padre. No. Nokia, clear hit. I gotta give Drake I gotta give him some credit because, speaking to a lot of people, and every time I say this, people think that I'm like lying. Yo, let me tell you this. I'm sorry to say, like, I don't know who. If y'all think I'm talking to myself or making shit up, when I get off stream, the entire music industry watches the stream. When I get off stream, I talk to all the niggas at UMG. They all hit me and be like, yo, Ak, I seen you say that. I seen you on the stream. You said this. Let me give you the actual info. Let me send over this. They can't talk. They got jobs. They don't want to get fucking fired. But they all hit me up. The conversations, like, even, I don't want to give away exactly who I'm speaking to. The reason why this Nokia joint is dope there was a lot of conversation that Drake and the music he's been making, it's been a while since we've gotten like a Hotline Bling. What does that mean? Drake has been known to kind of get these little cheesy songs. Like Drake was making songs of TikTok before TikTok, right? Like Hotline Bling, was TikTok popping then? I don't know if it was, but that would be a song that TikTok would have went crazy with, right? The latest attempt, I think a lot of people feel like, it was a turning point, a fork in the road, was Tootsie Slide, where some people felt like Drake didn't feel like it wasn't a natural feel. It didn't feel like people started looking at it optically like, bro, you're 35 doing Tootsie Slide. That just doesn't make sense. So these little cheesy songs that kind of work and like is mad catchy. Now, here's the difference of how I'm going to explain these songs. God's Plan is a hit song, okay? Non-stop hit song. When you get to the Tootsie Slides and Hotline Blings and songs like that, they could as well be hit songs, but they're like cheesy songs that, like the kids are going to eat up, the algorithms, like everybody's going to do challenges to. That's what I'm saying, right? Anyway, Drake being a pop star, which, again, yes, he's a rap star, he's a R&B star, but he is a pop star. He has to do songs like that. Now, the conversation with a lot of people said, yo, listen, after Tootsie Slide, Drake has primarily just tried to get hit songs and avoided some of these songs that could be considered cheesy, because if you don't do it right, then it's considered him cringy and they call him old. Drake, in my opinion, with No Kia, did the best thing he could possibly do, which, by the way, I think the song absolutely works. Here how it works. He doesn't seem mad. He doesn't seem corny with the song because, first of all, No Kia it's like nostalgic, right? Like Nokia cell phone or whatever. We talk about ringtones. Like the last time we talked about ringtone with Soulja Boy. So when he does his Nokia shit, for the people who are aging with Drake, he don't seem that old. He kind of seems like, oh shit, like he did a dope flip, and he's not seem like he's reaching to kids. However, if you look on TikTok, the kids are loving this shit. You get what I'm saying? So it feels like this is what, when I'm talking to people in the industry, they were like, yo, listen, we just got to let you know, we feel that he's, and I'm not talking about people from his label, just people who have opinions and usually educated minds. They're like, yo, listen, it's going to get harder and harder for Drake to start appealing to these kids. And I think that song actually did work. So I think that Nokia song, I think this is going to be a top 5 song. If this song don't go top 5, that's UMG, right? And I was listening to Brilliant Idiots, and I heard Charlamagne say, what did Charlamagne say? Shout out to my boy Charlamagne. Charlamagne said, yo, the labels ain't turned against Drake. We're going to talk about suppression in a little bit. Now, we have to realize this is a business, so people aren't going to cut off their noses to spite their face. Let me just wait. I'll get into suppression talk. But I do predict if this doesn't become either a number 1 song or it's not top 5, and when I mean top 5, because everybody gets these little blips, a top 5 song for some weeks, or it should stay in the top 10 for some weeks, not just disappear after this week. If that doesn't happen, we'll have some further conversations. Anyway, Die Trying, not my favorite song, but I do like it. Somebody Loves Me, ooh, this is a banger right here. Celibacy, that's cool. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think at the end of the album, it does become slightly bloated. It does. You know what I mean? And I think even the streams could show that, because for the songs that people really like, even if they're lower in the playlist, like Nokia, right? Somebody Loves Me, those songs are going up. Okay. So overall, if you ask me, I think it was a good album. Would I agree with the timing? I don't know. I mean, he could have came back with, I spoke to him, and what did he say? Oh, I think I gave him credit. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. You're outdoing my expectation, even numbers wise. This is when we're getting early numbers. And he doubled down and let me know. He said, man, listen, and this is why I know he's locked in. He said, listen, this is the first of 2 important chapters in my life. And, essentially pretty much said this is like the warm up. So I don't know what to take from that. I didn't dig any deeper, But it seems like somebody who's very much locked in and kind of accepting maybe not only some of the criticisms of him, but some of the warranted or unwarranted hate or people wanting to see him decline, right? So again, I thought it was a good album. Let me see what's up. Somebody said, "Well, songs are not top 5. The album 6 out of 8." No, I'm gonna be honest with you. Hey, I don't know who y'all follow. I'm gonna be very honest. And again, the girls I followed all had this on their story. They're putting me on the songs. If you are a heterosexual man, most of these songs aren't gonna hit as you would probably think all the time. I seen all girls posting some of this shit. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I seen one girl post some shit, and I had to like kind of look up the lyrics. I'm like, oh, because you know how girls like they tell their mood with songs and lyrics. So anyway, I think this album is an 8 out of 10. If you ask me, I think this album is a clear 8 out of 10. But I understand why for us dudes, other than playing "Give Me a Hug," unless like you feeling in your feelings about one of your side things or your girl, you're not playing "Raining in Houston," my nigga. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're not playing some of these songs consistently. They're not turn up songs. So I wouldn't expect you to play "Crying in Chanel" and "Something About You," and "Somebody Loves Me," unless, yeah. So I think it's a good album, which I think we'll appreciate in time. Just like if you ask me, I believe that "For All the Dogs" appreciated with time. Now, with that being said, this is 2 albums back to back, "For All the Dogs" and this album, where Drake he's singing us half to death. And it's cool because we like it. Again, this is no dick ride. I'm just telling you what I really think. The reason why I didn't like "For All the Dogs" at first, because I thought it was going to be a pop shit rap album like "If You're Reading It's Too Late." Fast forward a year later, I'm playing Virginia Beach, Try My Best, Bahama Promises like it's going out of style. You get what I'm saying? So sometimes your expectations kind of also allows you to like something up front or not. Me, I like this project. It told me it was an R&B project. I know Party's going to be on it. I like Party's music. I like this project. Is it a classic? I think it's too early for me to say it would be a classic. Off top, I would say it's not a classic, but I think it's a good album. For me to say it's a classic, I got to see if I'm playing this shit a year later. Again, for All the Dogs, whatever rating I gave that shit, add +2 or +3 to it, because I'm playing that shit 2 years later, or I don't even know when that album came out at this point. I'm still playing those songs, right? And I think that's the true test of a really good album, right? And I don't know if we could really have that classic conversation if songs come and go, right? Unless we're talking about, what do you call it again? If we're talking about in terms of classic, if it's on some like critical shit, like "To Pimp a Butterfly" by Kendrick, I believe it should be critically acclaimed as a classic. But that shit got no replay value. I never listened to that shit afterwards. You know what I mean? So again, by the body of work, I think it's classic, but it got no replay value. So it's like, what the fuck? Who cares, right? All right, anyway. So I think this is good. And, you know, I do think that what Drake is gearing up to is, and again, this is no inside information from him. If I'm ever quoting him, I'll tell you he told me. So just don't think he's just leaking stuff. This is me using my brain. What I think he's gearing up to is a solo album that is going to be, I think, maybe like Scorpion. But he's going to have to resolve, if you ask me, that issue or conflict with UMG for him to give us a proper solo album. And, you know, through the conversations I had with him, you know, basically, and this is for everybody who's saying, yo, he's on here he's dissing Kendrick, he's whatever. Bro, Drake is on there popping shit. Like he normally pops shit. Like I hate this new like wave of media where they want Drake to come to the podium and say, I'm just here to announce I lost to Kendrick Lamar. He's better than me, and I'm a sucker, and I'm going to just go back to my house and die. What the fuck? No. Like, his fans don't want that shit. Jay battled motherfucking Nas. And whatever way you thought that went, I think it's pretty unanimous how that went. But still, you think Jay was like rapping later? Yeah, niggas beat my ass. But no! I've never seen people wanting a man to concede defeat more than now. Of course he's like, whether you choose to, you could listen to him maybe say some shit and be like, nah, nigga, we don't believe you. It's like J. Cole. Like, anytime J. Cole right now says, yo, these rappers don't want it with me, I'm like, nigga, they all want it with you, you dumbass nigga. But would I tell him not to say it? Nigga, he gotta pop some shit. So I've seen people like request that Drake give this like, oh, I lost. Oh, I won't take shots no more. I won't. No, nigga. Fuck out of here. I'm going to talk my shit, and it's going to be what it is. Now, if you've listened to Drake rapping, he's always talk shit. And by the way, I was on TMZ last week. They asked me the same shit. Drake has made a career of just popping shit, and the shit is more likely whoever the shoe fits. I could load every gun with bullets that fire backwards, still won't lose a single rapper. That's not the one rapper. That's the whole game. Yo, I still think I'm nicer than you niggas. I make more money than y'all niggas. Y'all niggas is bitches. Like, he's been rapping like that. So, definitely, and this album wasn't that. And it's so funny because people don't know what they want from Drake. They're mad that Drake dropped an R&B album. Like, yo, why are you going to drop an R&B album after the battle? Well, didn't you say you want him to just accept defeat and go away? He starts singing to the girls, and you're like, nah, son, you can't come back with that. Then he got one song like kind of popping and shit. You're like, nah, we don't want that. You lost, son. What do you want? So anyway, you get to realize you can't please everybody. Definitely, which this is why I'm waiting for the solo album. Again, Drake ain't trying to diss nobody, man. Okay? But his time for popping shit will come soon. All right? Specifically told me, he said, yo, listen, it's a my talk soon come, man. So whatever that is, and I don't know what that is. And I know the obsessed either Kendrick fans or whoever's just gonna make that about him. Nah, Drake's niggas popping shit. You ain't hear him on the song? Popping shit. Bro, he's gonna pop shit. That's what it is. Like, again, it's cool. If you believe he lost the battle, it's fine. No one's still debating that shit. Not Like Us is a legendary song. Great. But if you think that you are gonna now cuck him into, oh, I'm the second best rapper. Oh, I could fuck all y'all up except him. No, nigga. Fuck all you niggas. You niggas is bitches. I run the charts. I run the streaming. I got the jet. He's still gonna talk like that. And if you would like a rapper that would tuck his tail and still not pop his shit because of a rap battle, go listen to J. Cole. That's what y'all niggas should go listen to, J. Cole. This ain't the J. Cole music over here. So anyway, that is, I believe, what is, so again, let me just finish that thought. I think Drake is building up to a crate. This is why I said, book it, $500K. $500K for first week for his next solo album. I think that solo album is gonna be spicy. Now, if you knowing Drake's schedule, I think that shit would be out by like September. But I do think that that's gonna be hard to do while he's in litigation with UMG. Now, let's get to the UMG and the whole suppression conversation with Drake, okay? And we should really have this conversation and be open about it. Okay. Now, and again, I'm not here speaking to try to appease Drake fans or a narrative, or I'm not Drake's mouthpiece. This is what I personally do believe. Do I believe that UMG suppressed Drake? I actually don't. I don't think UMG, that's a company. That's a company that has shareholders that wants to increase revenue. They're not here saying let's suppress this guy. Now, do they know they're in litigation with this guy? Yes. Now, one thing might be conflated for the other. Let me explain how. UMG, I feel they don't have the incentive of treating Drake like he's a A-list tier 1 artist anymore. That's the thing. Now, here's the thing. If you never knew, right? Like, this is how the music industry runs. Cardi B is a tier 1, level 1 artist at Atlantic and for Warner. When Cardi is going to drop Move Out the Way, we're getting these things off the chart. We're putting this budget behind this because this has to work. This is our fucking, in a baseball lineup, be like, yo, this is the nigga that hits home runs. So you got the nigga behind him who's a cleanup hitter, and then the nigga before who's supposed to get on base. They set it up for that guy. The music industry does that too. The music industry looks at the landscape and says, hey, these are the artists on our label. When Drake is dropped, they'll even tell another A1 or tier 1 artist, yo, we can't work both of y'all projects at the same time. Y'all are tier 1 artists. Y'all are going to be competing for market real estate on playlists. These blah, blah, blah. You drop second quarter, you drop third quarter. Now, a tier 1 and a tier 2, they don't give a fuck because they know the tier 1's going to run the shit, right? That's very important when your label is treating you like that and you're of Drake's stature. Now, some people, and I know I could look in the chat, I'll probably see it right now. Y'all going to say that's privilege. No, that's just status quo. Drake's label ain't trying to do none of that. Okay? All that preferential treatment, not preferential treatment to Drake. This would be the same treatment that Future gets from Epic, Cardi gets from Atlantic, that all of that shit is out the window. They're like, hey, we're going to do exactly what labels do for everybody. Why would they change up their methods? Well, half of their methods, they feel Drake is suing them about. Yeah, nigga, we prioritize the shit that gonna make the bread. Yeah, that's what we do. Yeah, nigga, when we need this one song to pop, yeah, we buy some bots. Of course. What the fuck? Wait, if you're gonna sue us about it, we're gonna stop doing it for you. Because we don't do it for one person, we do it for everybody. That's what their opinion is. We do it for all the top tier artists. So now, how about we're going to just throw you in the water, you swim. Of course, we'll call up to radio and be like, yeah, we're obligated. And all these things are contractually obligated, right? When Drake drops a record, this isn't some guy in a boardroom saying, should we push a record to radio? No, it says every time Drake drops a record, right? Now, it's probably a different type of deal because you have Party with this, which, by the way, I heard Charlamagne said that Universal called up. That sounds highly improbable, seeing that this is the primary on this is Sony, so Sony would have called up. But regardless, when you drop a project and you're of this stature, they know how many records. It's contractually said. Yo, we have to do at least 2 singles. We have to roll out 2 singles. We're going to send 2 singles to radio. We're going to service 3 songs to be in consideration for playlists. We're going to do these things. It's like, they can't be like, oh, fuck Drake and just not do it. Only thing I'm telling you is that the preferential treatment or treatment for someone of Drake's stature that they normally treat everybody like, that's out the window. That's out the window. They're looking at Drake like he's a mid-level talent. Of course, that's going to produce top-level results. But until this lawsuit is pretty much figured out, they have no type of incentive to give him that A1 roll out the red carpet treatment like we've seen not only him get before, but we see with top-tier artists. So that's one of the reasons I think that, for example, the night of the release, I seen Drake fans saying, "Yo, we couldn't find it on his what do you call it again? On his dashboard on Spotify." Bro, I've been there when a decently sized artist releases music. Nigga, they call Spotify at 12:01. That's how it works. Yo, put that up. That's how they do it. So this whole thing where people are like, oh no, these things are happening, but we don't know why. Oh, Drake fans are complaining. Fuck no. Nigga, they call, yo, put that up right now. So again, there was some snafus if you ask me, but I think it's because Universal, like, they're making money with Drake, but they're not going to treat him like an A1 artist, or they're not going to treat him like a tier 1 artist until this shit is resolved. So some people might take that as suppression. Some people might be like, what did you expect? Either way, who cares, right? Who cares? Anyway, let's kind of get into this. It says Drake and Party Next Door, Some Sexy Songs for You, debut at #1 on Billboard, right? This is a collaborative album. It did debut at the top of Billboard 200 charts, earning 246,000 equivalent units in the U.S. And essentially, it's the first Party Next. It's the first Party Next Door #1 and fourth top 10 charting, and it's the 14th for Drake. God damn. And among 17 top 10s. Wait, Drake had 3 albums that wasn't #1? What the fuck? Anyway, or 3 projects, because it doesn't have to be albums. Drake now ties Jay-Z and Taylor Swift for the most #1 among soloists in a nearly 69-year history of the chart. Overall, only the Beatles will have more #1. Only the Beatles with 19 have more #1. Okay. All right. It was officially announced the 3rd. They had 2 weeks of promo. That's another thing, too. The reason why I think that the 250 is really impressive, they announced it 11 days out. I'm very shocked by those numbers, even though I do think that Drake benefits a bit from the I wonder what he's going to do syndrome. Like, I think about 20,000 of those sales might even be haters that said, let me just click on that bitch to see what he's going to do. We got to be honest. It's not just Drake fans, right? So I think that helped Drake a little bit, but the primary, the most sales or streams I felt came from his fans who needed to send the message that as much as y'all are saying this guy is done, this guy's not done and he's still really popular, which, you know, I think his fans went crazy. Okay, all right, whatever. They're giving it how it broke down. 246,000 units. It comprised of 219 from SCA, which is song equivalent units, or stream equivalent album sales. So those are from people just streaming random songs, and that was 219. And then I think the rest came from buying it via the link, because they put up like a link. I think it was like some sexy songs for you.com, I think. Yeah. So on here, you could have just bought the album, right? So 25,000 people bought it from here. The rest just came from streams. By the way, really thin rollout. Like, I try for Drake fans, I try my best, man. Like, I even told Drake, I said, yo, Drake, bro, sell a t-shirt or hoodie. Nigga, sell a hookah. He's kind of not really opposed. It just seems like he's really not interested. He seems like, and this is going to sound wild because the era we're in, Drake seemed like he only want to sell music. I'm trying to tell a nigga to sell a chancleta, a shirt, some socks, maybe an OVO hoodie. You know what I mean? Like, God damn it, nigga. Sell something. Because when you're selling literally just this, and now granted, I'm going to be honest, they did sell physicals. So this was a physical, even though, so they did have some physical pressed up. But pretty much, you got to imagine. Sometimes I can't tell if Drake is cheap or does OVO just got somebody in the sweatshop just like printing up. Like this is like very basic. But it still works. It still works. Still works. Anyway. All right. With 287,000 287 million on-demand streams officially generated, it netted the largest streaming week for an album in 2025. It's the largest streaming week for any album since Kendrick Lamar GNX debut at #1 on December 7th with 379. Speaking of Lamar, Some Sexy Songs for You is Drake's first album since the feud between him and Lamar escalated in March 2024 with the release of Like That, and a flurry of diss tracks then happened. Some Sexy Songs for You replaces Lamar GNX to top the Billboard 200 as the latter falls to number 3 after return to the number 1 after the Super Bowl halftime performance. This is only the third time Lamar and Drake have been in the top 3 at the same time on Billboard. They previously shared space in the top 3 on May 13th, 2017, when Lamar's Damn was in the second week, and Drake More Life, when Drake More Life was at number 2. Oh, second week at number 1, and Drake More Life was at number 2. Okay. And then again, when, Damn debut at number 1, and More Life was at number 3. Okay. All right. All right. People, just to kind of wrap this up, man. It's very interesting. And this is why I do want to say and caution a little bit to the people, even if we like Drake, we got to be honest. Again, I'm a numbers guy. And men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't. Usually, unless you start selling t-shirts. Okay? Kendrick's number 1, he sold 137 this week. Kendrick's number 2, he sells 137. Drake's number 1, he sells 247. Just doing market share and by pure numbers, people. This is why I can't believe in full suppression. Like there's nobody at Universal, in my opinion, that would just be like, yo, they just want Drake to fail. Like, now granted, they want him to be humbled. That's a fact. Right? And in his humbling is like saying, yo, you used to be Superman. We're going to just treat you like a regular artist. You're going to realize that when we take off the preferential tier 1, handheld treatment for you, that you're not as hot as you really think you are. But do they want him to are they trying to do things to make him fail? I don't believe that. For Universal, and by the way, yes, Universal is part of this release, is Sony Universal. Universal wants this beef to continue. Bro, think about it, man. Yo, let me tell you this. Again, which we're going to get to. Because I seen Drake do some shit. I was like, Drake, you're tweaking. A good friend of mine, Lucian Grange's son, Elliot Grange. I remember talking to him in the midst of everything going on with Trippie and 6ix9ine. Yes, he signed both of them to 10K projects. And when he was talking to me, now, this is the business guy. If you don't know who he is, by the way, he's running Atlantic now. It's actually really damn near running Warner, because Atlantic Music Group, combined with 300, YSL, everything now is under Atlantic Music Group. And that's being ran by Lucian Grange's son. So Ice Spice, Meg, everybody, Cardi, Lucian Grange's son is running that over at the competitor for Lucian Grange. Whatever. So my man Elliot, if you don't know, the Granges are from the UK. Okay? Elliot, he's from the UK. A lot of times he would even hit me up. This back then. He'd be like, yo, listen, he's like, culture. This is when he's trying to sign the 6ix9ines and Trippie. He's like, culture, rap. I want to pick your brain because I think this is the new future of how music's going to go. I want these guys to get on my label, right? So I'm talking to him. I'm telling him who's popping. I'm blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And just like anybody from a label, and by the way, I'm saying this, and I hope no one try to weaponize it because this is a really honest and just like naive conversation. He's a businessman. He's a businessman. So he's telling me about all the headaches he's going through with like 6ix9ine and Trippie. If you ever hear some of this shit is wild. Like Trippie heard that one time that they're on the same label. So 6ix9ine was supposedly introduced to Elliott by Trippie. Then Trippie got promised some percentage on 6ix9ine's deal. Then 6ix9ine heard about that, and 6ix9ine wanted off the label. So it's a lot of like back. You're managing two artists, and they're like fucking beefing like Bloods and Crips. So he's talking to So anyway, he's telling me just all the bullshit that he's having to deal with. I think one of them found out that somebody got like $1 million, and then he had to go send the other nigga because they really hate each other that much at that point, right? And the story's gonna make sense in how I wrap it up with this. So, he's just telling me, he's like, yo, this is just, he's like, I just wish that these guys could get along. That's just his whole thing. He don't want him to be like, I wish these guys could get along. And he's like, yo, I remember calling him after 6ix9ine and Trippie was on Instagram Live, and it was 250,000 people watching them, and 6ix9ine was in the pool. Like, I think y'all probably seen that before. 6ix9ine, Trippie. Yeah. Is it this? No. Yeah. Fuck, they were arguing. 6ix9ine and Trippie argument IG Live. Yeah, I think it was this. It was like 250,000 people watching.
That shit is true. And you say, yo, I didn't know that shit was true, but let's do it.
Okay, anyway. There's 250,000 people tuned in live. And I remember calling Elliott, because again, I'm a numbers guy. He's a business guy. I'm a numbers guy. I called him and I said, Elliott, what are you doing? He said, Ak, what's up? I said, bro, your two artists was online arguing like girls in front of 250,000 people. They both have new music out, and not one time for an hour did they say, go buy my new song. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? So really, I was just trying to see, like, how the fuck you have this much people watching you and you don't promote shit? You're just beefing. Like, they don't give two fucks. Fuck you, nigga. Fuck you. Let's beat up and fight. I'm like, damn, at least be like, yo, go to Spotify. Like, yo, get my album or something like that. You know what I mean? No promotion. So that's what I'm calling him. I'm like, bro, can't you at least tell them, like, if they're going to beef, mention their new song? And he's like, yo, Ak, man, I wish these guys would get along, man. I just wish they would get along, like, whatever. And he's like, Ak, this is what I'm going through. And then he said to me, so Ak, you know what I wanted to do? I said, what? He said, I wanted to put both these niggas on tour together. Now, that was the businessman in him coming out. I was like, that would make some money. 6ix9ine and Trippie, when they were in the height of their beef, they have to go out and tour together. And I had to be like, well, they would probably shoot at each other every night, so it wouldn't work. And he's like, damn, yeah, it wouldn't. But that's how labels think. If we have two artists, anytime there's beef, it sucks the air out the room. Always. Because people like to watch a fight. So you have two artists, they're getting into it. You own artistically by contracts all of their work, and they're dissing each other. You could really monetize off of this. Going back to the Kendrick and Drake shit, all of that is universal. It's the same concept on a bigger level. So this right here was through 10K projects. Both the artists signed to the same label. Kendrick Lamar and Drake, they're under the same label. I don't care what y'all keep hearing about this PG Lang shit. PG Lang owns his masters, but they have some type of license/distribution deal that's going through Interscope that is universal. If you own the two biggest artists beefing, let them keep beefing. You don't have to spend no money, or you spend marginal amount of money on promoting the songs dissing each other. You think Universal is like, oh no, please guys, y'all gotta stop. Fuck no. Keep that shit going. It's running up the bill. It's running up the bank. So like, back to what I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying Drake and Kendrick weren't huge artists before, but if you've wondered why music also is in a lull, if you add Drake sales and Kendrick sales even this week, I guarantee the next 10 artists, hip-hop wise, don't equate to just them two. So remember, Drake did 246, let's just call it 250. Kendrick, we're just gonna round it. Did 150 this week. That's $400K from two artists that people are still, look on Twitter, they're still like super beef mode. People still are super, yo, is Drake this in here? The Kung Fu Kenny wear the Canadian tuxedo? So if I'm Universal, let this shit continue forever. Who gives a fuck? Right? Now, that's why I think they're also a little bit mad at Drake, because they're like, yo, Drake, man, why are you fucking this up, man? Why are you fucking this up? Just keep beefing, nigga. So I don't personally believe that Universal necessarily either wants this to stop, or I get Drake's point of, yo, he feels like they may have tried to bring down his worth and they were in negotiation. But I think personally, any label that have two artists that ends up beefing with each other, the label wins. And why the hell would they want to go stop this shit? Because again, let me see if I can find the album list. Shit. All right, let's go to chart data. I guarantee you can't find 10 other hip-hop artists or hip-hop songs. All right, I'm not going to scroll through this. The next 10 hip-hop artists, you sum up all their album sales this week. You sum up all their album sales, Kendrick and Drake got all of them beat. This is why you want the back and forth. Sucks the air out of the room. Yo, Lil Baby said he was going to drop another album. We ain't hear shit since. That nigga did his finesse, got his good numbers. He said, peace out. All that shit he was saying before, yo, I'm dropping Dominique, then I'm dropping this. No, he ain't. Nigga, he said that shit as a contingency plan if the first week didn't go good. The first week went good, he about to go disappear, do some tours, and start making songs that's going to be in line with like features and like kind of mixtape music to kind of get back that spark, which he should. Like, it would make sense for him to drop another album right now. You get what I'm saying? Okay, anyway. Let me see what y'all talking about in the chat. Somebody said, what's over? Tell me what's over. All right, I'm on King Akademiks chat here. J. Cole dropped some shit. I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. Music is so much about perception. It's so much about perception. Nigga, I seen the notification for J. Cole shit. I just closed it. Bro, I don't even want to hear from the nigga no more. J. Cole at this point, kind of, it's like when you thought a nigga was a demon through his music, then you see him get slapped and robbed and his chain taken, and then you realize he's just a punk. This shit don't hit the same. When Dirk got arrested by the feds, nigga, I was burning through his songs like it was going out of style. I always knew Dirk was like that, but I didn't know he was like that. I'm sorry. Yo, after I watched that fucking documentary about King Von being a serial killer, 7 bodies, nigga, every rhyme he sung hit different. I'm sorry. So after watching J. Cole pull the weakest rap move in history, nigga, the only rap I want to hear from that nigga is like some lullaby shit, man. Cat in the Hat. I am not whack. Like, I don't want to even hear him say nothing like, no, I don't want to hear that from him. Bro, perception matters. Let me tell you this. People sometimes don't know how much perception matters in how you view music. When you think an artist is hot, that's half the work. Like, that mental training is usually not only ingratiated to the style that they're currently doing, you're really accepting to it. When an artist is cold, it's only been like a handful of artists that's made it out of the it's not cool to fuck with that guy no more, or he's ice cold category. Like, yo, here's the reality about it. Even though this thing is a bitch ass nigga, secretly, because you know I gotta keep in tune with everything. I ain't gonna show y'all everything. I gotta keep in tune with everything. Meek been rapping better than he's ever rapped his career. Niggas don't want to hear it no more. I'm telling you the God honest truth. Nigga, I listened to it last. I'm like, oh, the boy's rapping. So thank God he's cold. Nobody gives a fuck. When people think you're already fell off, they don't listen to your music and say the same things. If he had dropped the same music, that's why timing matters so much in music. Because again, it's all perception. Like, some people literally believe that 50 fell down a hill. When 50 was making some amazing songs from 2003 to pretty much almost 2006, and when 2007 came around and he dropped that AO Technology and all them songs, it's like people woke up from a daze. No, his time was just done. Like, you listen to 50 with the different ears. It was just like, nah, this ain't it no more. Realistically, he didn't get whack. Now, let me stop. I might be doing too much with that. He maybe wasn't making as much infectious tunes, but our brain thinking he fell off makes the songs he has to make to change our mind 10 times hotter. I don't know if that makes sense. When we think a nigga in his prime, all that nigga got to do is give us damn near what we want. I might have tweaked out with that 50 analogy because he did, his rapping did get a little bit. But here's the thing too, though. As 50's lifestyle changed and we looked at 50 as a different person, like in 2003, 2004, when 50 was talking about, all of those things where his life's on the line, he's talking about like pretty much like the whole marketing was, I got shot 9 times. When you hear Many Men, a lot of us liking that song, yes, it's catchy, but it's also that narrative that's kind of like the backdrop to it. When 50 started rapping about that in 2007, 2008, it felt like number one, he didn't feel like the same person anymore. That also wasn't the marketing point that we were still interested in. And it felt like he was just singing about some shit that was just old. Because 50 has never changed his material up from that shoot 'em up, bang, bang, yo, let's get it popping shit. He's always been on some shit. He usually be on these interviews saying, I rap about the harsh realities. At a point, the harsh realities, people didn't want to hear it no more. And he wasn't able to pivot. 50 wasn't able to pivot. Kanye is someone who I could give credit for pivoting multiple times rather than getting cold. Anyway, somebody said, yo, Act, don't speak on Fifth. I like Fifth. I think Fifth likes me too. Yeah, Fifth likes you until he don't like you. So I gotta be careful. We are gonna get to the Joe thing with 50, but that's the point I'm trying to say, right? And I guess that was a really long-winded way of saying, hey, Drake fans, check this out. I'm with y'all on one sense. I don't think Universal is trying to push Drake like they used to push Drake. Again, without, I've just spoken to so many people who are important in all these things. Like I spoke to, I can't say names, but I spoke to some people who remember around the time when Drake was the face of every playlist. I talked to people in those meetings. Like I talked to them a couple days ago. They said, we remember that time. We made the decision to put Drake's face on the fucking cover of the gospel playlist. That was a time of a increased, we're shoving him down your throat. Right? And that conversation, obviously there has things being changed, but I don't think it's necessarily, that means they're suppressing him. Like, that was part of Drake's superpower. Drake had the appeal of, hey, this is a guy who we could all rally behind, and he's a guy who is relatable and palatable to the 14-year-old and the 55-year-old, the white guy, the Indian dude, the Asian girl, and even the Pakistani who's fucking watching this shit. It's just everybody's watching. The black person, it doesn't matter who. You get what I'm saying? So, and by the way, some of the things that I've heard that changed, like, I'll touch on a few things. Just like, I don't know. They're like, yes, that was a time that I think it behooved streaming more than it behooved Drake. Drake was the byproduct of it, as much as we thought it was just his dominance. Drake was help pushing streaming. They needed streaming to be popping. Okay, let's flood the place with Drake. This is the best place and the place you could get Drake at. Unfortunately, what's happened is this, and I kind of pointed this out on my own. Chat, if you look at and even like, I think Apple Music and even Spotify's relationship has changed with Drake a bit. I'll tell you why. And this is why when your time at the top, you have to treat it very important. So Drake was the first artist in Spotify's history to get to 50 million monthly listeners. The very first. By the way, when he got there, I don't even think no one was at 30, if I remember right. But we could Google that. He was the first person. You see, these days, especially after the lawsuit, this and 30, even though he didn't sue Spotify, but he did, he put the petition in. The leverage that Drake has is much different as they would view it. So back then, Drake was single-handedly driving streaming to more people. These days, Bruno Mars got more monthly listeners than Drake. You get what I'm saying? Now, this doesn't mean streams. This just means monthly listeners. What does monthly listeners mean? More of their audience are listening to a song per month of Bruno Mars, which is 149 million, than Drake, which his number is 80 million. So as much as he still drives some of the majority of what streaming is, his dominance isn't like what it was when they were plastering his face all over the place, if that makes sense. So, talking to people about how the streaming services treated him back then to now, they're like, Drake was the single-handedly number one commodity that if we put anywhere, he would bring everybody to us. We were trying to expand. So they all went to go, oh shit, let's all go to Spotify. I actually I have another analogy. And it's actually to even tap into something we've talked about here before. It's like Joe Budden, right? Like Joe Budden expected to get like this big payout from Spotify. And some would say rightly so. Some would say, no, you're asking too much. But here's the thing. You lose your leverage once they bring in other people who's bigger than you. Or not bigger than you, but they milk you dry. All right, let me see if I can say this in a concise way. There was a time where Joe, when he went to Spotify, he had the number one streaming podcast. You get what I'm saying? And that was the moment he had the most leverage. So actually, I'm actually agreeing with how, even though I don't agree with some of the ways how he negotiate, I see why he's like, give me the money now. Because what happens is that's the only time you have leverage. If Drake had done some leverage move back when he was the first one to pull 50 million monthly listeners, who knows? It would have been a possibility that Drake could have been the first artist that could have possibly negotiated owning, even if it was 4 or 5%. Maybe not 4 or 5%, like maybe like 2% of these fucking companies. You know what I mean? Maybe Spotify. Hey, listen, cool. I don't need no money. Since I'm bringing so many people here, you guys keep reporting your subscribers, and I'm the only artist pushing that. I think we could look at it. Here we go. And the reason why I brought Joe up, because I'm like, Joe established the podcasting market. Drake established the streaming market on DSPs, right? And what's happened now is that, obviously, with the lawsuit, this and third, they're kind of looking at him like, brother, it's been a long time since we plastered your face all over this bitch. We ain't doing that no more. You're not on the, like, they do show him love. And I did look, I looked around, Rap Caviar showed him some love, but it wasn't this is the biggest artist in the world dropping. He's everywhere like bird shit. Here he is. No matter what you click on Spotify, you can't avoid him.